Hey there, pitches. Welcome to the Go Pitch Yourself podcast with me, Angie Trueblood, a self-proclaimed podcast junkie. I'm on a mission to rid the world of the crappy pitches that are filling up inboxes everywhere. Want to help? Then let's get pitching. Friend, we made it. December 2020. Woohoo! Can we all just take a minute and pause that we are here surviving this craziness? So, I wanted to record an episode about what you should be doing in the month of December to prep for 2021. Now, this time of the year is when I always start to get questions from folks who are asking, and should I keep pitching myself in December? Isn't everyone trying to check out? Should I just wait until January? If you know me at all, you know that my response is always, if you can, I recommend you to keep pitching and reaching out because it at least puts you at the top of the stack in January when everyone prioritizes visibility. So it kind of puts you in front of them because you'll start to follow up at that point. That said, we can make an exception for this year because it is the year of exceptions. And so I thought it would be helpful to give you a couple of actionable things to do to kind of tidy up and put a nice little bow on your visibility in 2020 and also to really prep for 2021. So some housekeeping items that may not require a lot of outgoing action, but could really help set you up for success in the new year. So I'm going to go over these and should give you something to kind of take away from. All right, first, set your visibility goals for 2021. I'll tell you, I am one of those people who struggles with goal setting beyond I would like to make this much in revenue this year. So I get it. If this is you, I'm there with you. But I do think for visibility, it's really important for you to establish goals, else you never really know what you're working towards. My goal for 2021 is not only to have some monthly metrics and goals that I set in place, but to align that with some of my offers. So I am creating new offers, whoop, whoop, in 2021. And I really need my visibility to kind of line up with some of that. So it will shift a bit. Initially, my goal is I want to be a guest expert in a community every month, whether that is me coming into a membership or doing some sort of recorded masterclass. I want to be a guest expert once a month. Next, I want to record at least 2 guest podcast episodes a month. That's me on someone else's show. So I need to get back pitching, to be quite candid. I have been running on the beautiful wave of people reaching out and asking me to be on their show. And now I need to set some intention and really stretch some of the shows that I am guesting on. So those are my sort of baseline visibility goals. As I look to create and market a new offer to more of the masses, then there will be periods of time in there where I have an even more, I won't say aggressive, but a more intentional sprint for visibility. And that might look for me like possibly running some sort of ad or just bumping up the number of shows that I would like to guest on. Either way, whatever your year looks like, if there's any offers that you're launching or any specific campaigns that you want to work around, I would totally recommend you set some sort of monthly visibility goal. And it can ebb and flow. I mean, personally, if you know that May is a really busy month for you, then you can dial it back. It doesn't have to be the same goal for every month of the year. It can sort of ebb and flow. So that's the first thing to do in December in order to plan for 2021. The second thing I would recommend doing, and I will be doing as well, is revise your talk topics. So if you have been pitching yourself for a podcast, you likely have several different topics that you might choose from to pitch a host. I would recommend going over those and making sure they still really align with what you want to be known for and that they resonate with the types of people that you want to connect with. it's really a nice time of the year to sort of breathe some life back into topics. I know with one of our one-to-one clients, Danielle Hayden, a couple of months ago, she said, "Can we not pitch this one topic anymore? I'm just really tired of talking about it." And that's true. I mean, I think we all get to the point, especially if it's something we're known for and we're a genuine expert in, we get asked to speak to it all of the time. So I recommend switching it up a little bit, right? The other reason to kind of revise your talk topics is you want to elevate your role as an expert as you grow. So, likely in December of 2020, you are more of an expert than you were in January of 2020. And your talk topics should relate to that and should communicate that. So, for me, it's going to be not just having conversations about how to pitch yourself, but the impact it could have, how to measure the impact, how to increase the impact, right? So, really raising my status as an expert in not just the podcast pitching space, but the podcast guesting space as well. The other thing that could be helpful in getting more yeses is you could add a little bit more relevance to your pitches. So, when COVID hit back in March, some of our clients, it really made sense for us to shift their topics a bit to reflect what was actually going on in people's everyday lives. And this may be a good time to reevaluate that. If you've been pitching a topic that was very COVID or 2020 centric, you might want to dial it back a bit or see if you can take a different spin on it, because a lot of shows have kind of covered that. And some might be looking for more evergreen content. The really perfect storm there would be to take a topic that is relevant for kind of this period of uncertainty that we're in and trying to bridge that gap into some sort of evergreen topic that your audience might really be interested in talking about. So for me, in the podcast guesting space, it could be a conversation about how to take your speaking, your in person speaking gigs, and sort of translate those topics into relevant podcast topics, right? That's something that could be useful to someone that speaks on stages at any time, but more so now than ever. And then lastly, as you consider up leveling or tweaking your talk topics, definitely don't forget to look at your one sheet, right? You don't want some, to use my friend Charvette Mitchell, our previous guest, to use her language. You don't want some rusty, crusty one sheet when that is really showing off you and your brand. So update it to reflect anything current for you. So, after you revise your talk topics, a logical next step would be to consider any new niches that might make sense for you to pitch to. So, I have always been pitching to shows that talk about podcasting or shows that talk about online business. Well, are there places in the new year that I might want to position myself? Are there any tweaks to my overall strategy and my plans for growth in 2021 that open up a new area of hosts or complementary business owners that I might want to connect with, right? So, are you editing who you're going to be targeting based on the offers that you're putting out in 2021? If so, then you're going to want to revise your strategy and also your pitch list. So if you have some quiet time, which is hilarious, in December, you may want to go ahead and start creating a pitch list of relevant shows based on maybe some new targeting or some tweaks to the targeting that you've used before. The other thing that I think is really important is as you work, especially for my service providers out there, if you've guested on shows and you have attracted clients from those shows and you have worked within their niches, so they've hired you, you may recognize that there are specific niches or types of clients that you really love to work with, and others that just do not light you up. We've definitely had clients before that are like, hey, can you dial it back on this one particular niche? They either don't need my help right now or working with them is a little bit painful. So, can you dial that piece back? And then I'm really loving working with this type of business owner. So, I'm thinking of a client in particular who loves working with fitness brands, really like brick and mortar fitness gyms and such. And so there have been times when we have sort of flexed and increased our pitches to that particular niche just to really breathe some life into some of the people that she's working with. All right. So those are some new niches to think of. Also, and we've talked about it before, kind of like the low hanging fruit, which I mean with the utmost respect, but think about the people in your network who are your warm contacts who might be able to either connect you with folks where you could guest on their show or do some sort of collaboration. Or they might be able to host you on their own podcast, right? So make a list of your warm contacts that you can reach out to first. A lot of times in this pitching game, momentum counts for everything. So even just a couple of yeses under your belt once you start pitching in 2021 will really give you the encouragement and the energy to get out there and do more. I think about my friend Erica Holmes, who's also been a guest on the show, and she's a copywriter. And she and I were just talking about her pitching strategy for 2021. And she said, hey, I've actually got a list of pretty warm contacts in my network that I'm going to reach out to first. And so I highly recommend you do the same just to kind of lessen the activation energy required to get rolling on this. But if you have a list of them, it's super easy because you don't have to think about them when you sit down to actually pitch or do your outreach. All right, two more things for you to spend your time doing in December of 2020 to impact your visibility in 2021. Make sure that your systems and your processes are optimized, my friend. If you are going to come out hot and heavy in 2021, you want to make sure that you have some sort of system in place to track the shows that you have pitched to. Make sure you have relevant contact information. Don't just depend on a system where you can kind of document the outreach. So putting in that on, January 23rd, you pitched XYZ podcast, but also make sure you have a way for your system to trigger you to do follow up. Because, I mean, the best laid plans have died in a Google Sheet, for goodness sake, at least in my life, right? You'll create a spreadsheet and a list of shows that you're going to reach out to and you pitch them. And then you might even put the due date that you need to follow up with them. But unless that triggers in your actual project management system like Trello or ClickUp or Asana, you're not going to be triggered to go back to this spreadsheet. So make sure that you have something in your system or workflow that reaches out to you to remind you to circle back to this visibility part of your business. The other piece of this, in terms of processes and getting optimized and digitally organized, is are your digital assets organized? Do you have a headshot that's readily accessible? Do you have an updated bio that is not 1,000 words? So, a lot of shows, once you get accepted, will ask for a headshot, all of your social links. It'll ask for your bio. And you want to have that stuff in one place. So, it's just really grab and go. You don't have to think about it. We use something internally that has all of that information. And once the show gets scheduled for our clients, we send it off to the hosts. It's probably the one thing that my team and I do that gets the most, thank yous from the hosts that we work with. So get it organized. You will stand out above the crowd for sure. All right, last one. We're not going to overwhelm you in December, is consider the actual content of your interviews and maybe pull some more examples from the year of 2020 to use as you storytell and sort of weave information through your interviews. One thing I like to do is I'll look at my talk topics. And as I have optimized them, I'll kind of brainstorm. Okay, well, do I want to talk a little bit more about how to measure the impact of opportunities? Yes. Okay, well, are there any clients that we've done a really great job of measuring their opportunities that I could bring into a conversation about this? Yes, then jot that down so that you almost have a cheat sheet of kind of go to stories that you can reference in your interviews. So, a great refresher, if this is something that you feel like you want to do and that is definitely worth your time, which, spoiler, it is, because you probably had a million things happen in 2020 that you have put far back in your head. But if you go through some of the topics that you want to talk about that are relevant to your people, I bet you can pull out some really outstanding and detailed stories to go along with it. So, I would go back for sure and listen to the episode with Nikki Rausch, episode 5, where we talked about how to generate leads through podcast interviews. It'll be a great episode to sort of refresh your memory of why storytelling is so important and hopefully spark some other ideas so that you can bring more life and put more depth into your interviews. Okay, my friend, I think that's enough. I think 6 things to do over the course of the next 3 weeks, including a potential holiday in there for most of us, is plenty. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, okay, I can do this and I am pumped to start pitching myself in 2021, I'm going to give a small plug for my program, the Go Pitch Yourself program. We just wrapped up a quick mini launch over the Black Friday to Cyber Monday weekend, but we are reopening it for a couple of days in early January. So if you're thinking, yep, I might want Angie's support and a community around me as I really step into visibility and podcast pitching and guesting, I'd love for you to check out the program. And you can actually sign up for the wait list. This past launch, anyone that signed up for the wait list got a probably a super creepy personalized video message from me. I sent them after we decorated our Christmas tree, but it was important for me to at least reach out personally to the people who had signed up to our wait list. I'm sure if people at Loom ever look at the videos, they were laughing hysterically. I digress. So if you want to, you can get on the wait list for Go Pitch Yourself. Just go to angietrueblood.com/program. You can check out all the details. And then at the very bottom, there is a place to sign up for the wait list. But if you've gotten what you need from this episode, I just wish you the best. I'll be back in your ears one more time before the end of 2020. But I really appreciate you tuning in and really supporting this show. It's grown a lot over the past couple of months. And I'm just excited to serve you all better and in a bigger way in 2021. So I will chat with you soon. Enjoy the coming weeks, my friends. Alrighty, pitches. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Now it's time for you to get out there and go pitch yourself. Don't forget to head on over to the website for show notes, downloads, and links to any resources we mentioned in this episode. The website is angietrueblood.com/podcast. Happy pitching!